Hi everyone, and welcome to what is technically the very first episode of the Cruelty-Free Claudia podcast. I'll be your host, Claudia Allen. This first episode will be pretty brief, with the main purpose being to give you an idea of what this podcast will be and a little background on myself. I obviously adore animals, hopefully you do too, which is why you're here, but I also love science and I have a great curiosity for the world around me. I don't believe that animal welfare and scientific advancement or discovery are mutually exclusive. I have great admiration, respect, and support for both of these things. Over the past decade, the internet has increasingly been a terrific place to learn more and discover, but it can be way too overwhelming at times and sometimes unfortunately misleading or just flat out inaccurate. It's my mission that this podcast series gives people a consistent and reliable place to learn more about animals, their well-being, and advice on what we can do to minimize our footprint and hopefully contribute more to a healthy and sustainable planet and future while saving animals along the way, whether directly, such as adopting a shelter pet, or indirectly, such as cutting down our use of plastics that end up in the oceans. I'm sure you have a lot going on in your life, which is why I hope you allow me to bring the various animal and environmental experts straight to you. I hope to bring you a diverse range of interviews, people like biologists, executive directors of nonprofits, authors, lawyers, educators, nutritionists, and so on, so that we can all learn from them and listen to what advice they might have. Now, just who am I and why did I start this podcast? Well, I grew up in Los Angeles and I went to high-kill shelters ever since I was young, 4, 5, 6 years old, learning about the importance of pet adoption, sometimes, of course, adopting pets of our own. I went through all kinds of phases of different jobs I wanted to be when I grew up. When I was 6, it was a veterinarian, later an executive director of a shelter, and later an ethologist, which is one who studies animal behavior. I've worked at a local shelter and I'm a volunteer for the animal rescue team for both the HSUS and the ASPCA. Shortly, I'll be joining another organization as a volunteer called Red Rover, and they do hands-on emergency animal rescue. Since 2013, I have volunteered with the HSUS working on advancing animal protection legislation. I've met with policymakers in DC about how they can further help animals. I've educated many people on federal, state, and local legislation. And if this is something that interests you, check out action alerts for organizations like the HSUS, HSLF, which is the Humane Society Legislative Fund, the Animal Legal Defense Fund, and the ASPCA. I've had the humbling experience of speaking to roughly over 1,000 people between 2015 and 2017 about becoming an advocate for animals through legislation, as well as various topics such as proper pet ownership. I have such various interests when it comes to different animals and issues, and I want to learn everything I possibly can. I hope that these different interviews help you either learn something new or maybe help you pick a career, whether it's initial career or perhaps a different one, or just help you learn how to contribute to the well-being of animals in many, many different ways. If you end up learning from this podcast or hopefully becoming a continuous listener, please review this podcast wherever you heard us, especially on iTunes, and consider becoming a Patreon patron at patreon.com/crueltyfreeclaudia. Contributions start at just $1 a month, and this gives you access to things like behind-the-scenes features, secret polls, and high priority when submitting a question to one of the guests that I interview. If this is something you're interested in, you can watch a brief video and read a description at patreon.com/crueltyfreeclaudia. You can also like us at facebook.com/crueltyfreeclaudia and follow us on Instagram at crueltyfreeclaudia. Twitter is the only weird one where it's cruelty-free CLDA because of the character limitation. I'll be posting updates, quotes from guests, and send out announcements on upcoming guests so that I can collect your questions from all different social media channels. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Cruelty-Free Claudia, where I bring the animal experts to you.